We're heading towards a civil war. I don't think there's any doubt. We looked at the indices out there, and these are unbridgeable divides right now, and getting deeper. And the Democratic Party is getting more and more radical. Look, everything we're dealing with right now is about illegal aliens. Whether it's they want to spend $1 trillion on their health care, whether they're demanding a census that counts them for congressional races and for electoral college, whether it's the mass deportations that we're trying to get done in Portland, Chicago, Los Angeles. Everything's around. If they don't have illegal aliens, if they don't have a foreign entity in here and folks in here, they don't have there's no way for them to put together the votes. They love democracy, but it's just the math doesn't work.
He's right. The math doesn't work. Welcome in, friends. Thursday Throwdown time. Robert Imbriali here with having fun with you guys. I see all you in the chat room every week. It's always a lot of fun to see that. And, I was just over across the field over here talking with some guy who parked an RV on our property. I'm not sure why, but I had a chat with him, and, he's doing well today. Why don't we bring him in? Why don't we make him our co-host for today, shall we? Mr. Bruce Poppy, how are you, my friend?
Everything is fantastic, Robert. I'm a squatter on Robert's property.
I heard that's what Lewis called you. He said, how are the squatters doing? I'm like, no, they're not squatters. They're welcome here.
We love it here. It's fantastic, man. You got a beautiful property, and we're so appreciative, that you're allowing us to partake.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. We've had some great conversations. We had some computer stuff that we did, which is always fun. Bruce is on a new machine now and a little bit faster and may have fewer technical issues, which is always fun. Keeping the fingers crossed. Yep, Windows 11, here we come. Lots of fun there. Have you been paying attention at all to the news? I know you've been busy with other things, helping Lewis and such.
I've been keeping a cursory look on it. And that little cold open that you put out there with Steve, he's not too far off with what we see going, the different sides that what we're fighting against. It's mind-blowing that the Democrat Party, the left, is going down that road. They give zero Fs about Americans or veterans or people who are supposed to be here, and they want to go all in for the refugees, the illegals, all this different stuff. And I don't see how this unwinds other than a bad situation for anybody involved.
They're openly talking about violence on the left now, which, in the past, we're the party of acceptance and tolerance and kumbaya and love and everything. And it's truly being exposed that they are literally the party of violence, and they will not accept anything. If you look at the shutdown is kind of interesting, Bruce. You look at this and Schumer has zero interest in ending this thing. and they keep piling more and more on. Now, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, said, well, the Republican side, we haven't added one thing. We're going to continue the spending the way it was, which was Biden spending. So they should have had everything that they needed, and they shouldn't have any problems there. But the Democrats want to stack and stack and stack, and it's like, well, Republicans are just saying, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to increase spending. We're going to leave the spending where it is. And they're looking at it and saying, it's so funny because all they do is try to blame, it's a Republican shutdown, it's a Republican shutdown. And we say, no, it's a Schumer shutdown. No interest in solving it, though.
And you wonder, too, if that's not, if they haven't capitulated at some point, is this because this is, I haven't seen any movement towards a resolution at all. And they're all in about mainly these, funding and extending the tax credits that were put in by COVID during COVID for the Obamacare stuff and funding healthcare for illegals. That's the hill they're willing to die on.
We can't have a show without Anna Paulina Luna, right?
Ah.
Okay, in case you're wondering why the government is still shut down and some of the insane demands that Democrats are asking for in reopening the government, we have $24.6 million for climate resilience in Honduras, $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe, $3.9 to LGBTQI plus democracy grants in the Balkans, $2.9 million to desert locust reduction in Africa. Oh, and $2 million to organizing for feminist democratic principles in Africa. So just to be clear, they don't want to pay the military, but they want to fund this. Insane.
None of that was in America, by the way.
No, not $1.
Not one.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, there's a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they like to point out on both sides, they do this thing, point out all the money that we're sending overseas, but yet there's, people suffering and all kinds of problems here in the States. And it's not like, my viewpoint, unpopular as it might be, is that we need to rely less on governments and more on ourselves. That's where we're supposed to be. And this whole bloated thing, this I have said for a very, very long time that we're not going to, even though Trump's in there and he's doing everything he can, this machine that we're up against is far too big. The whole thing needs to be torn down and start over again.
Your viewpoint, many times, Bruce, I hate to break it to you, is really not that unpopular with this audience.
Well, it's unpopular with the mainstream.
The mainstream, that's but not this audience. This audience is cheering you on. I see it in here. They love you in the chat room. No, very true.
It's just the honest truth. Yeah. Everybody wants everybody got their hand out. Give me, but nobody's willing to do anything.
It's the mentality of the employee, right? I have family members that fall into that category, and they're like, "Well, why don't you do any more at your job?" Well, if they pay me more, maybe I do more. And then it's the other way around. If you did more, showed your value, then you can go in and ask for more, right? And it's the same thing here. It's like, we keep asking the government for more and more and more, but we're providing less and less. And if you look at numbers like the productivity number of Americans, it drops every year. It's not going up. And it's ironic because we have 2 weeks a year vacation on average. Some people have more, but most people have 2 weeks vacation a year, right? And you look at other countries that have more vacation, and some of them are actually more productive than we are. What's going on? Mindset, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Gimme. Well, I'm not going to give you anything. Just gimme. Come on, Bruce. Gimme more. I want more. It doesn't work that way. Really doesn't work that way. So Joey in our chat room, Joey G, the coffee man, asked an interesting question today. He said, right, he's always first in the chat room, by the way. So if you want to beat Joey, you got to get in the chat room like literally half hour early because he's always number one. You know,
he comes in, he turns on the lights, he gets the coffee going. He usually brings cannolis, so that's what I love about Joey.
He's a good guy, no question. He asked the question. He says, "What's on tap for today?" And I said, "Well, we got a bottle of Bolton to talk about." Or should we say a jar of Bolton, right?
Yeah.
So he's indicted on 18 counts under the Espionage Act, very similar to what Trump was indicted for, right? Same kind of thing. And he said, Trump had these classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, and he's not going to get out of this one. It's horrible. He's the one saying this, and now the table is turned. Be careful what you put out there. Point one finger, you got four pointing back at you. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Yep. These guys are this left. One of their tools, and we just need to understand it, is projection, right? They want to project out what they're doing. They put that out that's what the other people. They want to demonize us. They want to, everything that they're doing that's wrong, they're projecting on us. And now, tables are turned. The challenge that I see, with this situation is the way and as big of a bullhorn that the media has, and people are still watching MSNBC, CNN, all those garbage stuff, the propaganda. But the general population, not our audience, but the majority of the people here in the United States are buying into what they're selling. And then This looks like a revenge tour. He's coming after all of his enemies. So there has to be a very fine line that he walks in here to make this actually, come to fruition and take down some of these deep state guys. Because, indictments are one thing. We can indict people all day long. But until we get, some convictions and some sentencing and, some time being served for these acts against humanity, then nothing's going to change. So we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic.
What I heard with him and with Letitia James and James Comey, they start out with these small indictments. And then they, as the case goes on, they stack them on. So they build the case bigger and bigger and bigger, which they really couldn't do with Trump because everything that they were stacking on was all fake. Fake, phony, and false. Is that what you say, Bruce? Fake, phony, and false?
That's what Dave from X22 says, yes.
Yeah. So, in this case, apparently they've got a lot more on him because they took all his computers, they took everything. And as they go through it, they're actually saying, there's rumor now that they can prove that he was taking this classified information, selling it to foreign governments. That's treason.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what's the penalty for treason?
Yep. Off with the head, Yeah. So there's more here than meets the eye. And I think, you and I both are like, we have to see something happen. It's too much, too many promises and nothing's coming through. And we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And at some point, we just can't wait anymore. You know what I mean? We're just going to get there.
Well, I've gotten to that point. I'm not waiting anymore, for Trump, the white hats. I've been preaching this for a long time, too. Too many people are sitting around waiting for Trump, the white hats, military, whatever, to come in and ride in on a white horse and save the day. And we're going to wake up tomorrow and everything's going to be puppy dogs and rainbows. That's not reality, folks. When I made the decision myself to move on and be the best that I can be and build my, perfect life right now, live my best life right now, things change. There's lots of pressure and lots of stress and lots of worry and anxiety that is lifted off of me. And that has benefited my health situation, my outlook. We got to not rely on somebody else to do the stuff and just focus on us and our local family, and then we can work out from there.
So dealing with the frustration, the waiting is a very common thing I hear from my clients and friends. They're just struggling with that because it has been such a long process, and I'll play this. This is a little bit out of order, but I'll play this clip from Mr. Kash Patel, which may help us understand why the wait is so long.
These indictments that you've seen and the ones that you're going to see coming up here in this near future are just the beginning. But I have to remind the audience one thing. Everybody's like, it's 7 months. What have you guys been doing?
Yeah.
Well, they spent 20 years building this disease temple of corruption. It takes a little bit of time to defeat it and beat it down. And I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to look at the work the men and women of the FBI have done so far in these 7-8 months and just imagine what we're going to do come the year end.
So the promise there is that there's going to be a lot more indictments, and they're working on them, and they do take time. That was a conversation I think you and I, Bruce, we had. I remember sometime last year where you look at the mountain of corruption that was in front of us and go, how do you even begin to unravel this, right? And it's just like, just one case can take a year, 2 years to prosecute. So what he's basically saying is, look, we're in this 7 months, and we're starting to break through and get to indictments. There's going to be a lot more coming between now and the end of the year, and expect a lot into next year as well. But Bannon had something to say, Bruce. I'll share this with you and get your opinion on it. He said the FBI, for instance, is going to be hard to quote unquote fix. That in fact it should be broken up into several pieces and taken down to 1/3 its size and rebuilt with true patriots. What do you think?
I think he's 100% correct. And that not only just the FBI, most of the 3-letter agencies. I mean, I don't know how many there are. I think it lasts over almost 30, 27 or something. I don't remember the exact number, but all these, and there's, exactly. FBI is supposed to be the premier law enforcement agency on the planet. But even if you look back at the history, from the very jump street, J. Edgar Hoover, I mean, that thing was corrupt and politically biased right from the jump. So, I mean, and it's gotten worse. And it's Kash Patel mentions it took him 20 years to build this disease tower of corruption. It's way longer than 20 years, my friends.
It is, but he makes a good point there. It's like, and we know this too. I mean, the deep state's been working at this. If you look at, just take, for example, I was having this conversation with my guest that'll be on Monday's show yesterday. And one of the things we were talking about was the indoctrination in the schools. That didn't happen overnight. That happened over generations, right? We went to school in the 60s, elementary school and high school in the 70s. And you look at it from that perspective and like, it was there, but it really wasn't very strong. So then the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and now the 2020s, and you start to look at that and you say, wow, it really took them 40 years to get to the point that they're at right now with the indoctrination. They recognize that if they go after the kids and they get them indoctrinated, it impacts the next generation of leadership, right? Yep.
And we're seeing the results of that. It's gone into hyperdrive. Since Trump went down the escalator in 2015, everything's been in hyperspace. Before all that, it's been kind of on the DL. Nobody really knew about it. It was like the analogy: if you take a lion or an elephant and you chain them up, and then you take one link away out of that chain, eventually you can take the chain off, and they're not going to go anywhere. Yep. That's what we've been doing. This slow erosion of our rights and our liberties, and them implanting in our brains, in our consciousness, these ideas. That's been a slow process, but it's been hyper speed ever since Trump came down the escalator.
Yeah, and he mentioned today, he said if it were him, he'd go a lot harder. And he said the DOJ is actually very soft on what's happening out there. I think all of us feel that way. It's like, it's too slow, it's too soft. The charges aren't coming. They're not coming fast enough. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit from what we can see. Why hasn't it been being handled? And, if you bring up the Charlie Kirk thing, and the FBI is standing by their story to this day. There's been no information coming out. We're just over a month now. We got information the first week, and that was it. It didn't come out. That was the end of it. We had no more. So now you have to ask, okay, what's really going on here? Is the deep state, part of the FBI, feeding Kash Patel a line of crap to make him look bad? That's, one theory, and I think I kind of align with that one. Or is there something more going on here? Will there be more coming out on Charlie Kirk?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, anybody with half a brain and one eye can look at the theory of the case, right? The events of what the FBI is saying that this guy did and how it all went down, and it's all done. We got it taken care of. It doesn't. There's no way. I mean, anybody, like I said, anybody who's done any hunting, a 30-06 would have taken his head clean off. There would be not that whole white thing that was behind him, that backdrop, would be sprayed with red.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's just one thing. You know, there's multiple things that stack up. You know, I don't buy into a lot of the conspiracy stuff. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't have enough. And with today, with the AI videos and everything like that, you can't even hardly believe anything you see anymore. You have, you know, you got to be connected. That's why I talk about the 3 connections. You got to be connected to the creator, because that's where you're going to develop your intuition, your discernment, right? Get that, you know, that gut check where you can, you know, something they want us to believe 2 and 2 equals 5, and there's no way that kid did that. And the story that they're laying out, there's no way that that's true.
We don't have any clips from Candace Owen today, Candace Owens today, but she did say something pretty powerful this week. She said that Erica Kirk knows more about who was behind this and is not talking about it. And everyone's asking and looking how Erica Kirk is responding and go, what's up with that? This doesn't seem like a normal response to having had your husband assassinated. So there's something fishy going on. She knows something clearly, because the way she's acting is probably not in alignment with what you'd expect somebody who's been through that kind of situation.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I've never been in that situation. I can't imagine. You know, but yeah, you would think that somebody who's been through that type of trauma wouldn't be able to carry on, you know, life as normal as she seemingly has. So yeah, like I said, something spells funky in Denmark.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I can tell you right now what the story the narrative that they're putting forward doesn't pass the smell test at all.
Yeah, you know, the story of him being put in a witness protection program, all of a sudden, you know, you had to fake the whole event, and he's put in a witness protection program because they were going to kill him, starts to take on some life now, you know, where it didn't before, but now it's starting to take on a little bit of life.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, today's 2 days after his birthday. You know, they had that whole big deal of him getting that award at the White House and all that stuff. So, like I said, I don't know what the truth is. And, you know, those people that do, I just think we are grown-ass adults, and we should be able to handle some truth. All of this optics and this playing these games, I'm over all of that stuff personally myself.
Well, let's go into some optics here. This was the price of gold last week. 4,000. It just breached the $4,000 mark last week. And if you look at it today, it's $4,300. Look at this is a year-to-date chart. It's up 63.16% year-to-date. Or $1,600 in 1 year.
So what that tells me, you know, just some basic economics 101, that there's some pretty heavy players that are looking to protect themselves from what may be coming.
Bingo.
I read an article that China, there's some Shanghai building or something in China, they can't buy enough gold and silver, the Chinese. And all these central banks, they're going apeshit trying to get their hands on gold, you know, real tangible physical gold and silver and who knows other stuff. I'm curious too. We looked at see the pricing of gold and silver, but these other precious metals that we hear about, you know, palladium and platinum, all these other things that are really have some value. What are those prices skyrocketing as well, or is it just gold and silver? I don't know. I haven't looked into that.
This was silver last week on our last week's show. $50.44. Everyone's, oh man, it broke through $50. That was just over the all-time high of $49.95. So it just passed it. And where are we today? $53.96. So an 85% gain year to date. Not even the full year, just year to date, January 1st to today. It's up $24.82. For many of us who bought silver, before January 1st, that's almost double our money. It's pretty intense. Yeah. So,
and there's a lot of room for it to go even further.
Yeah, there is. And what you were saying, Bruce, is exactly right. Now it brings credence to the opening video we had. Now you're putting the pieces together, right? So what's the opening video? The opening video was about we're headed toward civil war. So is it civil war, or is it a financial crash, or is it both? The people in the know must know something, because the prices would not be jumping the way they're jumping. It's always an indicator of uncertainty ahead, right?
Yep. Absolutely. And the stock market has been on a tear too, right? The bottom hasn't dropped out of that. So, I mean, all of these indicators that most people take a look at, everything, looks hunky-dory. But I read an article, I can't remember who wrote it. It might have been... the DC Free Press guy at the Substack, that this is a plan in motion, and the best thing for here in the United States is for us to not be the reserve currency of the world, to get rid of that, to change that, and then we start consolidating, bringing all the manufacturing and everything back home, and we build up there. We don't need to be that. That's going to unleash the golden age more than if we continue to try to stay on the path that we've been on for the last, since 1913 and the Federal Reserve and everything changed.
Look at these numbers, Bruce. Gold, the closing price, December 20th of 2000, was $272.50.
Holy cow!
Yeah, huh? Closing price September 30th this year was $3,800. So that's a 14.27 times change in price, or 13.27% change in price in 25 years.
It's 1,300%.
1,300%, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
So yeah,
that's economics 101.
Every dollar you would have invested in 2000 would have been worth $14 now. It's a 14 times increase in money. Wow, that's insane when you look at those numbers like that. Crazy.
And there may be some people out there thinking, I missed the boat again. I should have bought Facebook when it was $1, or Amazon when it was $1. Now silver and gold, all their prices are so high, I could never get into that market. I think that's a bunch of BS. We need to rethink. We need to change. I tell you people all the time, we cannot get out. We cannot turn this ship around. We cannot get out of the situation we're in with the same thinking and ideology that we have in the past.
Right.
We have to change everything up to go a different direction. You gotta think differently. That's just the formula for creation. It's a law, just like gravity.
Yeah. So investing in gold and silver, people go, "What's that really all about?" And Matt was supposed to be here today, joining us, and I got a text from him just 10 minutes before he went live, and it's like, "Man, I just can't." You know why he can't? He's been on the phone day and night, selling gold and silver and helping people convert their 401k, their IRAs over. He's been doing that. And, it's a store of value is the way you want to look at it. So people don't really look at the price so much, right? Wherever you buy in at, the reality is it doesn't really drop. I think only 2 times since 1998 has gold actually dropped in a year. Every year it's gone up. Only twice it has gone down. So I'll just let you know if you want to call Matt, I'll just put the phone number 480-717-9081, or just go to veritymetals.com and you could find out more about buying gold and silver. I know people are just chomping at the bit to get in. Yeah, now's the time to do it. I think you're right, Bruce. I think it is going to go higher. Of course, this is not financial advice, not investment advice, but my gut tells me that as the uncertainty, are we going to hit civil war? Are we going to hit financial decline? Are we going to have a financial collapse? Are we going to go away? There's a congressman today who said, he's really vying to shut down the IRS instead of trying to reform it, to thinking about shutting it down. He said it's been used as a weapon against the American people. Really true. That's the way it is. It's a Gestapo,
Yep.
against the American people, which we should never have a government against us, any agency against us. It should always be working for us and with us, but never against. So
Right.
I'm in favor of that. Really in favor of that.
100%.
Yeah.
And that could be part of this whole shutdown situation, because what was, I don't know what the history is, but what was the longest shutdown that there has been in history past? We're now at 2 weeks in, just over 2 weeks into this shutdown.
I think it's
and
day
don't see
15
any
today. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see any resolution on the horizon. In times past, these guys do these marathon sessions to come, but they're just not.
They're not.
So there's the energy that is coming from the people that are supposed to be working for us, and the work that they're doing to resolve the situation. I just don't see it. I don't feel that energy, right? And that they're all still pointing the finger, blame games. That's all they want to do. It's a Republican shutdown. It's a Schumer shutdown. It's this. But this is 100% Democrat for sure, because all Republicans, they could have ended this, before the the shutdown happened. They needed 60 votes to be able to make this thing happen. They're all 53 Republicans said yes. No seven Democrats was willing to have any courage and step up for the American people, and so they just let it slide. So this is 100% on. I'm not a blame guy, but this is 100% on them.
Yeah, no question. Hobbit, good to see you. She's saying that she's having a problem with Rumble, so she's watching on YouTube. Thankfully, we have backup channels. Always good. Let's see here. Caroline Levitt responds to the judge blocking Trump with federal layoffs. These district judges, I could strangle them.
Implemented a nationwide temporary restraining order on what the White House believes is its constitutional authority to cut down the federal government during the shutdown.
Well, the White House believes this, John, because it's just the truth. The president is the head of the executive branch, and therefore he has the right to hire and fire executive branch employees. And unfortunately, the administration has taken the tough step to lay off thousands of workers across the federal government because the Democrats have selfishly chosen to shut our government down in the name of partisan politics. And now you have this far left district court Democrat appointed judge who literally just uses politics from the bench and has no legal rationale for this nationwide temporary restraining order. And she is now blocking the administration from doing what the Supreme Court has already affirmed the president of the United States can do. In fact, this very same judge out of liberal San Francisco in May illegally ruled that the administration and the president does not have the right to fire executive branch employees. And the Supreme Court smacked this judge down in July. She is wrong. She is doing this for political reasons. And the Democrats know that they can judge shop, they can court shop, they can go to this woman because she is a far left hack and she uses politics from the bench. We are very confident we are going to win this temporary restraining order, and the Trump administration will continue to try to fight through this shutdown and get the government back open so we can get people back to work.
She's not even 30 years old, this one. Wow.
She's a rock star.
Yeah. No question.
And I thought the other one, the other little short blonde one, in the
first term,
administration,
yeah,
was stellar. Even the current governor of Arkansas, she did it very good. Sarah Huckabee.
Yep.
And the other, I can't, their name escapes me. Just short little blonde girl. But yeah, Caroline Levitt, man, she is a rock star.
Yeah, she was actually brought into the spotlight by Bannon.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she was running for some New Jersey
Maine
congressional seat or something.
Up in Maine, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where she started out. But yeah, she got her had her chops, got her chops, her
And get
broken
this,
in.
they stole that election from her.
I know.
Yeah. So instead of quitting, like a lot of people, this is crazy, I can't do anything. She gets appointed to the press secretary position, which is a very visible position. And boy, she is smart as a whip. And she's 100% right. They judge shop. They found a judge that would give them the ruling they wanted. They dragged it all the way out to San Francisco to get this judge, and they got this ruling, which the Supreme Court's already ruled on. So I don't know how these district judges think they have any power when the Supreme Court's already ruled on it. Then the president has the power to fire people in the executive branch. And it says in the Constitution, when there's a government shutdown, the president has the power to fire people and shut down parts of the government permanently, not just layoffs.
Yes, permanently. Trump even made that statement, when the first shutdown first happened, that these guys are going to rue the day that they made this happen, because there's things, and he has powers during a shutdown that are irreversible. So this is, it's quite funny. And then these judges, like you said, you want to choke some of these people out. It just doesn't make it. Your head's going to explode. You need some duct tape to wrap around your head so it doesn't explode. But yeah, she got smacked down earlier this year, and here she is again, just pulling these things. These nationwide TROs have already been ruled unconstitutional. They can't do it. They tried. They played that card, and now they're here playing it again. Yeah. So this is 100% will be to get taken down. It's just unfortunate we have to play these games. This whole law firm. It's looking at this whole situation, the biggest issue that we're going to have because of the seemingly lifetime appointments are for these judges. It's really, really hard, nearly impossible to get a judge removed. Unless they're just whatever. It's hard to get these judges out, and that's going to be the challenge that we have in turning the ship around. And we're not looking for people to just side with us, right? We just want people to have a fair and just level the playing field and give people fair judgments. This whole political hack stuff, Caroline was 100% correct. This lady is a activist judge and a political hack. And we have to have a way to get these people out of the way so that we can move forward with some proper law interpretation of laws and constitution. It shouldn't be that hard, right? That's one of the things that they've done on purpose, I believe, is they complicate and convolute, and you have to be a constitutional scholar and all these different things to be able to understand the ins and outs and intention and this and that and the other. And there's so many different caveats and nuances that have to be taken into every situation. It shouldn't be that hard.
What I heard from one congressperson this week was that it only requires a simple majority in Congress to remove a judge. But Congress doesn't work. It's broken. It does not work, and they're not working, and they don't show up, and they don't do the votes, and they don't do. They still have a backlog, an incredible backlog of people they're supposed to appoint or confirm Trump appointments, and they haven't done it, and they're not doing it. And Trump is working, with three flat tires. He doesn't have his team in place. And it's like, we think about it, November 5th is around the corner. That's 1 year ago that he was elected. And he still doesn't have his team in place. Okay, he didn't take power until January 20, but that's only 90 days apart. It's like, why doesn't he have his team in place? Every other president's had their team, at least their core team in place by now. And Congress is supposedly Republican.
Yeah, allegedly. And even though they did, during the shutdown, there was a big batch, like 100 or plus, that they did push through, but that's still not a drop in the bucket. I don't want to know what the number is that they're still deficient on, but it is a significant number. And we're not talking about appointing Herschel Walker to be the U.S. ambassador to the freaking Bahamas.
Yeah,
right? We're talking about really legitimate, helpful things that would be that would help the president implement his agenda, that the American people, in an overwhelmingly fashion, I might add, voted him in to be able to rectify and resolve. And so, like you said, three flat tires. This is a challenge. This is why it's broken. I said you're not going to vote anybody in. It's going to fix it. The whole thing needs to be torn down and start over again.
Well, you've got Kash Patel and you've got Dan Bongino at the FBI, and that is it. You've got a handful of agents that are probably on their side, and the rest is all deep state. And the question is, well, how is he going to run that thing? and they're feeding him absolute garbage as information. So it's not working. I mean, we have to come to this realization. I mean, I think, Trump is trying to do business as usual and just, we'll clean this up and we'll get rid of these guys and we'll get rid of those guys and everything will be fine, not really realizing how deep it really is and how corrupt it really is.
Absolutely.
Corrupt
to the core.
To the core, my friend, to the freaking core. RFK Jr. is in the news again. So the governors don't seem to like him. They don't seem to like what he's doing. So they are going to, get this, create their own health alliance to counter RFK Jr. So when RFK Jr. says, hey, we're going to take the red dye number 4 off the market because it's causing cancer, they're going to say, you know what? In California, we're going to allow it. We don't like what he's doing. But it goes further than that. Here's something really crazy. Let me read this for you. This is... some outside groups and coalitions have issued competing vaccination recommendations. So if he goes after the children's vaccine schedule, which is what the next step is, so now they have outside groups and these governors are going to go with this instead of his recommendations. And they're going to include Western states spearheaded by, California, no surprise there. Multiple states have now updated their rules to get this, pharmacists prescribe vaccines not recommended by the CDC. I don't have any words.
Yeah, I'm sure Dr. Layla Ali, our good friend who's a pharmacist, would be opposed to that situation. And I'm sure she would not be writing any prescriptions.
She would be here today, but she had other things going on. So definitely. We think we need to get her on and talk about this. It's like, can you imagine going to your pharmacist and your pharmacist suggests a vaccine? Like, wow. So yes, the next step.
This is the lie. This is the lie that these people put out, right? They're saying he's evil. He's, keeping people from being healthy. He's taking away all their back. No. He's just making it not mandatory,
right?
Or not forcing people to do something they don't want to do. That you can still go get COVID and your boosters and your flu and your RSV and every damn thing else. You can still go get that if you want. There is zero restrictions, for people to go anywhere and get any shot they want.
Yeah, I just look at this and say, okay, so the next step is they're going after the vaccine schedule. Robert Malone is in the EU today talking to them about the vaccine schedule for children. And this is like 96 vaccines before the kid is 18 or something like that. And we know that 54%, I think the number is now, of these kids who get these vaccines have chronic autoimmune deficiency. They have diseases, chronic diseases that they wouldn't normally have if they're not vaccinated. I think it's like 8% of the population, the unvaxxed, and it's 54% of the ones who are vaxxed. I mean, it's just a question of, open your eyes and look at the numbers. And now these states are going to say, oh no, we aren't going to follow the CDC's recommendations. We're going to do it our own way. In other words, who's paying us? And whoever's paying will follow these outside coalition groups. What do you think these outside coalition groups are going to be?
They're going to be Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson. These are the people who make and sell these things. They're the media advisors. Yeah, you need this for sure. And you talk about California, the complete opposite of go to Florida. Joseph Lombardo down there, he's nobody's, I haven't heard a lot of people piss and moan and complain about that, even though I don't live in Florida, so I'm probably not focused on that news as much, but he's making the stuff to get into schools not mandatory. It's not a mandate. If you want to, great. If not, that's fine too. So they're not forcing you. The government should not force you to put something in your body you don't want.
Exactly. Now, Trump said that. It's like you can have the vaccines if you want them, but you don't have to. We're not going to force them on you. And the reality is, what we need more information, and the information is so buried. And this movie that came out, Inconvenient Study, that we talked about last week. I started watching it, and it's all about the vaccine industry really, and how they hide the information. And doctors come up and if they start talking about this, they threaten them to take their license away.
Yep.
So they can't even talk about the vaccine injuries that are happening. So
No.
that's changing because more and more of us are talking about it, and we're bringing it up into everyday conversation. And, it's like, don't talk about politics and religion. Happen to be the most important topics of our existence, but don't talk about those things. You might disagree. So what? We should learn how to talk to each other if we disagree, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm open for discussion. Anybody wants to have a talk, let me know. You can email me at, let's see, which email should I give? Well, info@brucepoppy.com.
There you
Email
go.
me and I'll have any type of discussion you want. info@brucepoppy.com.
Speaking of the Bruce Poppy Show, you guys want to follow me? I'm at renegademedia.tv and Renegade Media on Telegram. And then there is this fellow here, brucepoppy.com. And Bruce, you've got an offer for people that you may want to talk about.
Which one is that?
You have the what is it? SwitchUSA.info.
Oh yeah. Well, that one. So here, that is probably one of the most important things that we can do as Americans and as individual sovereign people, because we can't control a lot what goes on, but I can 100% control where I spend my money and what stuff that I use in my house. We don't have to shop at Walmart, Amazon, Target, these places. They're taking our money and they're funding all these woke ideologies that are destroying the country. Right? They're selling us poisons. They've knowingly selling us poisons for decades. But now we have an alternative. We have connections with a manufacturer that gives us clean, non-toxic stuff that isn't going to kill you. Their cleaning products don't even have any safety taps on them. And it's not one of those crazy MLM things, right? All it is switching stores of the Wellness Shopping Club. Go to switchusa.info. Put your info there. I will call you. We'll have a discussion. I'll show you the store, everything like that. And it's a member invite only situation. So go to switchusa.info, right? Because if there was a way that you could purchase the similar type stuff you're buying right now and using every single day and know that you're going to get the same price or better, it's not going to kill you or cause you any other diseases or other health problems, wouldn't you want to know about it? So go to switchusa.info, put your info there. I will call you.
And I need to get a graphic from you for this because we need to put this
I keep
up.
forgetting to send it to you.
I know.
I'll have Natalie run it right over. I'll give Natalie on a thumb drive to just run it down to the studio.
Yeah, when we're live, I do very little on the computer because I don't want anything to crash, right? Because the video is so heavy already, and I've got a monster computer. I've got the top of the line Intel chip and 64 gig of RAM and top end video card. I've got a monster computer, and I still won't play with it while we're streaming. So yeah,
and he's not lying. The fans that are on the CPU and computers, most of them are around a couple inches around. This guy's got a fan on his CPU that's as big as my head.
I know.
It's massive.
It's like a radiator. It's giant. And it's not water cooled either.
He fires up the computer. It sounds like a helicopter starting to take off.
Almost that way. Okay. Shall we continue with the browsing of the news stories for the day?
Yeah, I don't know which ones you got. There is one particular story that I'm hoping you picked up because it's some common sense in this world of chaos. And I'm talking about Lurch. Did you have that one pulled up?
I don't have that one.
Oh, he was at the Kennedy Center. The Fetterman comments at the Kennedy Center, mind blowing. Common sense. He's talking about taking it down a notch. We shouldn't be calling he's talking as a Democrat. Shouldn't be calling the Republicans racist, Nazis, fascists. He was talking some common sense, and it was not typical Democrat talk. And I don't know how that guy that was he's another puzzling one. How he beat Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania to become a senator, Mr. Hoodie himself.
Oh,
he's
come
more
on. He
known
didn't
for his hoodie.
beat Dr. Oz. Come on.
What? Huh? He's in the Senate, isn't he? So he won. Well, Dr. Oz got a better gig, I think, being RFK's, little undersecretary. So I think I would rather have that position than be a senator any day.
Yeah.
But yeah, the comments, if you haven't seen that, it's worth going and take a look at the Kennedy Center. Fetterman just dismantles the Democrat Party.
Well, the Democrat Party, the wheels are falling off of it, and you see a lot of Democrats who can no longer associate with it. Actually, the fellow that I interviewed yesterday, which I'll play the interview for you guys on the Monday show, he was a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, and then he went into Columbia University, the major indoctrination center in New York, right? And he came out a Republican, a Trump supporter. To have the reverse impact on him.
This was later in life, right? He wasn't in college when he was 20 years old.
No, 55 he went into college. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lifelong Democrat until his 50s, mid 50s. And then he came out supporting Trump. And, a lot of Democrats are doing that. It's not an uncommon story anymore because they're seeing how far left they are. It's like literally they're heading straight into communism. And none of them on the left, the true Democrats, like the JFK Democrat, right? They're not into the violence. They're not into any of this stuff. And they see it on their side and they go, I just can't support this anymore. The name calling, the abuse, the
vitriol. It's
vile.
It's not human. Just take America out of the whole thing. It's not proper human etiquette to have that type of, I can't even think of an adjective that's bad. The vitriol, just the despising, it's unbelievable. They have nothing. The Democrat, if we can ever fix our election system, have a free, honestly true, free and fair elections, I don't see how any of these people can win. They have no ideas that are any appealing to most the population. I mean, let's look at New York. They're about to elect a full-on communist Muslim over there in New York for mayor.
Yeah, I looked up that election, and he's ahead in the polls. And the election is coming up a couple of weeks away, November 5th, I think it is.
So it's him against the former governor, right?
Cuomo, yeah.
Andrew Cuomo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those two running against each other. The other guys, dropped out already, right?
Yeah, nowhere to be seen, right?
So, who knows? Cuomo's the senior killer during COVID. So I mean, I would rather have that guy than some communist. Some of the ideas that he's putting out there. I mean, maybe this is another thing. You can't tell them the truth. You got to show them. Let's let them elect this guy in New York and let that whole thing crash and burn, and see that these ideas don't work. Socialism has never worked in the history of man. It sounds like a great thing, right? The whole utopian idea, everybody shares everything. Everybody's got equal, it's some, bliss, everything's pumping up. But no, when the money runs out, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Those are the only things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I had this feeling. We talked about the peace agreement that happened on Monday and on Columbus Day, right? And I had this feeling that I don't know if you could really get to peace over there. And now we find out today that Hamas is killing their own people, literally lining them up and shooting them one after another. I saw the videos. Horrific to see that. So Trump is saying if Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which is not the deal, we'll have no choice but to go in and kill them. Guess what? That means the war restarts, right?
And probably escalates a lot further because if Trump goes in there, it's not going to be pretty for these people.
No. And but I don't think America will. I think Israel will be the one to do it.
Well, yeah, we'll be funding them because we're like Israel light over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's just the truth of the matter. We don't need to get into that. Talk about all those people over there, but you talked about the peace thing, and now we're going. The conspiracy theorist in me wants to think, okay, are these alleged Hamas people, shooting people, or are these the IDF? Or some other people posing, pretending, to try to foment more victimhood of Israelis and people.
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, we've seen over and over and over again over the last several years all these different conflicts. These news people are using videos that aren't even close. Reporting on things that happened, years ago. It's not actually what's going on. So, I'm like I said, I'm keeping my powder dry. I'm cautiously optimistic that things are going to work out. But like you said, can we ever have peace? And then, with all the greed, until these people are removed from the universe, from this realm, the evil ones, we're the greed and money and power. It's still the tokens that these guys like to push around the monopoly board.
Really is, and so I keep an eye on the Middle East stuff because I think it's important for us to kind of be aware of what's going on in our world. And I think if you look at the gold and silver prices, it's like I've been saying this all summer long. It's like something else is up because that's your indicator that something's not right, that there's fear on the horizon. And although we keep saying, well, it's kind of calm right now, it's maybe nothing's going to happen. That's an indicator. That's a red flag to tell you something may be up. Bannon may be right about this. He's the only one saying it. We may be headed for civil war. He doesn't seem to think that there's another way around it because the divide is too big right now. And now as you see the violence escalating, and there's going to be this massive protest, the No King's Day on Saturday in Washington, D.C., right?
Right.
If that comes to fruition, that will probably be violent. My expectation is that it'll probably be violent. And there are people saying already they're going to dress like Trump supporters.
Still on the streets in D.C.? Is the National Guard still patrolling or is that operation over?
Yeah, no, it's still there.
So we'll see. It's fun. I'm gonna throw a big wrench and a bunch of sand in the gears right now. It just popped into my head. In the Bible, it says that the end times, there'll be wars and rumors of wars, but then the Antichrist is going to come, right?
Uh-huh.
And the Antichrist will come and have all this charisma and be able to pull people over, and he's going to say, peace, peace, when there is no peace. I'm just saying. I'll leave it right there. Let everybody's imagination run.
Let them think about it. Let them stew for a minute.
Yeah, look at the end times in the Bible, all this stuff. If you're buy into that, the actual literal, I know there's allegories, but that's a different story. I'm just saying, end times, Antichrist, they're going to be saying peace, peace when there is no peace. That's popped into my head as you were talking about that story.
Yeah, and the currency I think plays a role here too. And if we end up with a global digital currency, that could wipe out all the debt that we have in all the countries. I think they said there's $332 trillion in debt. And somebody said, well, who are we indebted to? Well, this country, it all goes around in a big circle. So essentially, if you came up with a new monetary system, you could blank everything back to zero and start again.
Right, because it's not real money.
No,
right?
No,
but it's like credits in a video game or something. I don't know.
It's IOUs. That's what it is. IOUs.
Yeah. So it's it's all shady. Go and have some research. All the geeky people out there, go and research fractional banking. That'll keep you in a rabbit hole for a little while.
Yeah.
That's evil from the pit of hell.
Vote number 10.
It's funny.
Vote number 10 failed again. This was.
We're still shut down. Shucky darn.
On this vote, the yeas are 51, the nays are 45. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
Mr. President.
That was vote number 10 today. 10th time they tried to get the government reopened. And, Democrats apparently even told that we're not going to do it until after this No King's Day on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, that's part of their plan. Yeah, they have zero intention of even trying to come across as making a deal until after that. They want their media, they want their continued 15 minutes of fame, more propaganda to spread across the United States and around the globe that Trump is some evil person that just wants to be a dictator and rule the world.
Yeah, and if we don't stop them, they're going to get away with it. This next one comes to us courtesy of our friend Edward, who's in the chat room right now.
Edward Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn, for this one. This is KGB. I'm not a smart justice, but I try playing one on the Supreme Court. Black people can't vote because they're disabled.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to the audio, by the way. She actually said that.
You did? You listened to it?
I listened to it. She actually said that.
Right. And, give some backstory and some context here. This is the oral arguments in front of the Supreme Court about this whole redistricting crap that's going on, and the Voter Rights Act that was passed way back when. They somehow they're wanting to overturn that. They're saying, trying to align or saying that they have to have black only people for something or other, and that she, Miss KBJ, the DEI hire, the dumbest person on the planet, probably said was likening the Voter Rights Act to the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah,
the ADA.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they're saying, there's similarities because, they had to have this law to be able to give access to people in wheelchairs in the buildings. You had to have ramps and certain parking places and with the doors and all this stuff because so these people can have access to these facilities. So she's likening that the Voter Rights Act that they have, black people have to have some unfair advantage because they don't have access to be able to do that because they're disabled. That she just got egg on her face trying to make this argument, and it totally failed.
Oh, it's beyond totally failed, and you just wonder how did we get here, Bruce? How did this actually happen? You know what I'm saying?
I have a couple ideas.
Oh, do you?
And you got to look in the mirror.
Got to look in the mirror. Exactly.
You want to be real about it. You want to not pull any punches. We the people dropped the ball, and we've outsourced our own self-governance so very long. Most people didn't give a crap about who they voted for, if they voted at all, right? Or and all these things. So when even you have your local elections, how many people are out there researching who these judges are? Because these judges come up for votes. You want to keep this guy on the bench or no? That happens all the time. So do you know who these judges are when you're voting, or you don't vote, or you just leave those blank? You only vote for the president and Congress. I don't know, but it's we the people who've dropped the ball and have allowed these guys to, give them an inch, we'll take them a mile, right? They've been unsupervised. There's been no supervision in the asylum for
That's right.
too long.
None.
And that is the reason. If we stood up in large enough numbers, this wouldn't be happening.
Very true. And, obviously holding our election officials so we get clean elections, hold them accountable, and we haven't been able to do that either.
It has to start there.
Yeah.
And until we can know, because right now there is zero trust. I have lost trust, and there's nothing. I only trust me, and even then, that's a little sketchy. So we got to have that fixed so we can have a normal functioning society without being on the verge of civil war every single day.
Yep. Here's a kid who is from Memphis, and he has some kind words to say.
My name is Braylon, and I live here in Memphis. I've been noticing not just a slight change, more of a detrimental change in how peaceful Memphis is ever since the National Guard came. There was a lot of things I couldn't do before the National Guard came because I had to worry a lot about guns and stuff. I couldn't play because I was worried that somebody might pull out a gun or something, but now I could do that, and I just wanted to thank the President of the United States for bringing the National Guard.
Thank the President for that. Wow. Love that.
And I'm sure if you took polls, actually talk to real people, not, the fake polls that they try to put on us in the news media. If they were to actually talk to real people in Chicago, Portland, Memphis, LA, right? LA County, the county commission, we need to do a national emergency to protect people from these ICE raids. J.B. Pritzker from Illinois.
Yep.
When the Democrats get back in power, we're going to start putting these ICE agents in jail. Fucking guy. Dumb as a boxer. Do people really buy this stuff anymore? Come on. It can't be real.
Well, they're appealing to this segment of society who what we call the uninformed or the low information voter, right? And that's who they're appealing to. And they think that that's enough. But, if you take out all the illegals, that's it. They don't have a chance. You know what I mean? It's done.
Exactly.
Hey,
100%.
Here's a reminder for everyone. King would not allow a protest called No King's Day.
And back when they had their first one, We already had our No King's Day. That was back in 1776. Okay, we got rid of that guy from over there in England. We said go pound sand. We're going to govern ourselves over here. So that was our first. That was No King's Day. There hasn't been a need for one since. So
well, I don't know, Bruce. But Newsom kind of thinks he's God here. I don't know. Oh boy, where did these people come up with
There's
this
tape.
stuff?
He actually said that.
He actually said that.
It says Newsom jokes that people compare, but
Yeah.
no. Come on.
Come on.
I've seen I've seen my TikTok because I'm out here in California, right? And I'm working with Lewis on his governor campaign. I'm doing a lot more local California stuff. So my TikTok feed, because I stopped and watched a couple of Newsom videos. He was on a podcast about some crazy.
Oh no,
shit.
you retrained your algorithm.
Absolutely. So now every time it's all Newsom in California, freaking Steve Hilton, and all this other stuff. So yes, you and I talk about here's the quick little mindset minute, right? Our brains are just like an algorithm. You can train, just like you can change. I can go back tonight in my TikTok, and I can go back to watching all cat videos, right? Just stop and watch a couple. It'll change, so that our minds are the same. Our subconscious mind are exactly the same way, right? I'm not even go down the simulation path there, but that's a different story. But the stuff we put in, we can train our brain to think and see certain stuff, and that's what all the manifestation is all about. Is training your, because I don't want to go off to a preaching here, but our brains are just like an algorithm.
Yeah. Yep. Really are. Well, I think this is very apropos. This is in Walgreens. Get your flu shot. Who came up with that idea, I wonder?
Whoever sets up the displays. Yeah, what probably wasn't a great idea to put a skeleton, get your flu shot.
I know the Halloween theme and all, but no. It's a little too close to home, that one. I don't know. Well, you're in California, and this is a sign people will see when they come into California now. Now entering California, ask yourself what poor life choices led to this.
I got a question for Lewis and anybody else. Why do we still need these agricultural inspection stations when you cross over into California? It's just a waste of money. They got people, and they don't even look at you. They just drive, come to a stop or just roll on through. They don't look at nothing. So I could bring all kinds of agricultural contraband here into California. Nobody's checking shit. So why do we need to have these things? It interrupts me driving. I have to pull over. It takes a lot to stop RV, right? Then once you get up to speed, it takes a while, 10 miles to get back up to speed. So it really puts a hitch in my giddy up when I'm coming in and out of California. So I think we need to remove these agricultural inspection stations. What say you, Robert?
They just rebuilt the one coming from Vegas into California too, and they're
only, how many millions of dollars did that cost?
Yeah, I know, but they're only active during certain seasons. So it depends on what's in bloom and stuff, and they don't check anything. If you do stop, they say, "Hey, you have any oranges?" Nope, don't have any. Okay. Back full, you know what I mean? It's like they're trying to stop you from importing fruit flies. That's really what that's about. I'm like, yeah.
Well, yeah, that was back in there was a reason and purpose, and that just shows you the extremism of California.
Yeah.
But a funny personal story: as a friend of mine who lives in Canada came down, here into the States. We were in Utah for a convention. Anyway, when they went back, she had apples that she had gotten from the hotel.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they practically had to strip search them. They went through everything, confiscated their apples. It was some big, huge international incident for her to try to bring a freaking apple across the border into Canada.
Yep. Crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Oh, boy, I think...
You got to have a good sense of humor or else your head's going to explode.
Truly.
Bottom line.
Truly. That brings us to the end of our stack of stuff, to quote Rush Limbaugh. We've got...
in my currently nicotine-stained fingers.
Yeah, my formerly nicotine-stained.
Yeah, that's what he used to say.
Yeah,
I can't say that yet.
No, still, but we're getting there. What are you looking forward to this weekend, my friend?
What I'm looking forward to this weekend is to see if the UN can pull off putting a carbon tax on all Americans when they have no authority. They're floating that idea.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, how long is it going to be before Trump tells them to go pound sand, gives them the big middle finger, and tells them, you ain't getting another $1 American money. You can go jump in a lake.
He already did. He actually told them today to go pound sand. He says, no way is that going to fly here in the United States. We're going to ignore it.
No,
yeah.
I was being facetious and joking, but I'm looking forward to continue to enjoy this lovely place that we're in. I'm doing a bunch of computer work and making all kinds of phone calls and connections that we're promoting, getting ready for the November 8th event in San Marcos. Huge, big deal. The big GOP debate. Lewis is on the stage, not being a GOP guy, so that's a miracle in itself. So we're prepping all information, all sources are pushing to make that event as big as possible. So you can get more information at that at hermsforcali.com/events.
Yeah, we should have had a logo. We should have had a graphic for that, but
yeah,
put one up.
I got one, but I don't have it with me.
Yeah.
Again, I'll give Nally a thumb drive. She'll run that over.
Well, tomorrow I'll be working outdoors, get away from the computer because I've been on the computer way too much this week, and probably do the same Saturday and Sunday. Just for men, it's real important to have what I call testosterone day. Right, to be outside and doing manly stuff and not being behind the computer. Your estrogen levels start to go high when you're behind the computer too much. So it's good to go out and chop wood and dig a trench or do something like that. It makes a big difference in all of that. So that's what
I'm going to be helping in those projects now. I can give you a hand. So,
that's right.
There's already a couple things we've done. We're looking to do a lot more. So yeah, we're no idle hands over here.
No, never idle hands on the farm. That's for sure. So with that, friends, we'll wish you a great weekend. I'll be back Monday with the Movement Show. And when is the next Bruce Poppy show coming up?
I'm doing little things, small shorts on the YouTube channel. Bruce Poppy Show on YouTube. I got the Bruce Poppy Show Facebook page. You can search those out. Or you just go to brucepoppy.com. And all my social media stuff is on there. So you can follow me at different places. I'm doing a lot of little short stuff, but I got some big stuff that I've been working on for months, and when I roll it out, it's going to be mind-blowing. It's a big deal. So you want to catch up on the small stuff, the little shorts, little short interview clips, little quote things that I'm putting out, different mindset hack stuff, living life the best we can be, unleashing our excellence. So but I got some stuff that's up in here that I'm manifesting into the present realm and doing tons of work on the back end. But when I'm done, it's going to be amazing, going to blow your all mind.
Excellent. I'm working on some coaching programs as well. I'm going to do a group coaching program again. So I'll be letting people know about that if you want to be part of that. It's important to not live in a vacuum. And I think too many of us think we've got this computer in front of us and we've got access to the world, but you really don't because you're all alone. And it's important not to do that. And we're meeting every week on Zoom and being able to encourage each other and move whatever project it is you're working on forward in a positive way and actually get real support. Hard to do sometimes. People, when you say, I've got this new idea, the first thing people will do, especially people in your inner circle, no, that's dumb, that's stupid, that'll never work. And they're doing it out of love. And you say, what the hell are you talking about? That doesn't sound like love. Well, they don't want to see you get hurt. So in their mind, they're doing it out of love, but actually it's very destructive. So what we'll do is put together a coaching group where, you'll have real support and people will be behind you and support you. No matter how wild your ideas are, we'll be there for you.
Wilder the better, right?
Yep,
and
absolutely.
Those type of sessions and getting the support you need, the most important thing you can do is be wanting to change, be vulnerable, and be getting an outside perspective. That's always put a different set of eyes on your situation, without any judgment, without any emotion, can help change your life in such a significant manner. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, when you have a project or you're working on something, you're emotionally connected to it, and sometimes that emotion is foggy, and it makes it hard for you to see beyond and see the bigger picture. Somebody else comes along, like a coach, for instance, not attached emotionally, can see it a bird's eye view of what's going on, and can point you in the right direction and save you literally years of trial and error. Right, and get you to
years
where you want to be.
And a ton of money too. I mean, because in business, not just money, but your business and relationships, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, we can all be better. And that's what I strive to be, is just a tiny fraction of a percent better tomorrow than I am today. If I do that, winning.
Winning. We're winning every time you're on the show, Bruce. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. And we will be back Monday. And next Thursday, we'll be back with another Thursday Throwdown. Woo. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks, Bruce.
See y'all.